Hello and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is January 3rd, 2025, and this is the Friday wrap up. We're looking at Bitcoin as always, and I'd like to wish you all, wish the Pizza Pets Ordinals owners a happy Pineapple Day. This is a white pineapple day. It was just activated, so go check on your weaknesses for those particular ordinals. I've posted some tips across some various chats for you. And if you have any for me, go ahead and let me know. Now that we have a pineapple bomb ready to destroy the pet that you've been taking care of that might have a white pineapple weakness. So just a little bit of a notice being sent out there for you. And let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. So, we got the expected bounce off of the zone that we talked about after the nice little dip in there. So we'll go ahead and turn on our support and resistance kind of areas of interest to the upside and downside here with the bands bracketing things. A little preview of what we're going to look at there in terms of momentum as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at trend. The trend is still a, downtrend on the daily. And in order to break this downtrend, Bitcoin needs to take out the basically $100,000 level here. I'm just going to mark this here so that you can see it visually when we start moving through some of the other time frames. But, it did set a low. This low is on a drive of hidden bullish divergence from these two lows right here. I know it's not populating here, but this low right here and this low right here, we have RSI significantly lower while price is still above there in terms of the close relative to those lows. So we do have a drive of hidden bullish divergence. And as I mentioned, it'd probably be good enough to pop things back up to in and around the basis band, 96 to 98. And then we're kind of looking at $100,000 region as a downtrend break. And then from there, wherever price puts in a high, we need to see higher low or equal low structure to start looking for a full trend reversal from there. Pretty simple setup. If Bitcoin does start to push above the $100,000 area, you can see the upper first standard deviation is right there below $101,000 coming in at $100,826 currently. And then, of course, we have the overhead resistance on a closing basis right in that area, somewhere around 101 to 105, 101 to 101, 100 to 101, 500. Sorry. That is getting a little bit difficult to say as the 6-digit Bitcoin is going to take a little getting used to. But look, above there inside the green zone, we do have to pay attention to some of the highs here at around 102.5, 102,600 to the 104 wick high that was put in on pretty high volume, both to the upside and the downside. This is a big high volume candle. In the lower term time frames, there was high volume on the highs, there was high volume on the lows, and it's good to see that Bitcoin is kind of trading within that candle thus far. We did get a little deviation above it, and then it was kind of right back down before putting in, putting in that 108, 388 or 108, 400 to 500 high, depending on your exchange. Now, back above 104, you can see the upper second standard deviation is coming in slightly above there at 104, 426. If Bitcoin does break above there, then we're looking to the close open up here, somewhere around $106,000 to 108. And I've said this a lot. I'm going to take it $2,000 at a time. And maybe Monday I'll review some of the other fibs that do line up with around $115,000. But for right now, above 106, I'm looking to 108, above 108, looking at 110, and then to 112. And then from there, above 108, from this particular position, I wouldn't be looking for like an immediate break, to be quite honest with you. This is kind of a range setup that's going back into a contraction, but this will change a little bit. But if Bitcoin, say, did work its way up there, likely it will be trading and closing above the upper second standard deviation, kicking off a more expansive or highly expansive environment or highly volatile environment in terms of expansion back to the highs. And then if it closes above the upper third, after about 110 to 112, I would be looking for those jumps to get a little bit bigger, even if they're just swings or wicks, from 112 to 115, 115 to 125, 125 to, 115 to 120, 120 to 125, and then around the fib level up there of interest at 125 to, I would say, 130, but keep in mind that there is a 1414 from the prior cycle high to low of the bear market. So $69,000, it's basically the bear market fib pull from 69 to 15 and a half, coming in at $128,000. And that is a pretty major Fibonacci level of interest. So that is something to keep in mind. But this is kind of how things start. Still a downtrend. We need to see Bitcoin, break the downtrend, put in some higher low structure or equal low structure from there to set up for a trend reversal. And then it's, we look for the next higher high and higher low for complete trend to the upside. Now, to the downside, it's same as Wednesday, and pretty much the same as what we talked about on Monday as well, coming into this week. So, back below around $92,000, we have a zone of interest to around 88,700. Yes, there is areas to pay attention to in here, around 91,271. Then we have to kind of entertain a move down to 90,500 to 700 almost here. And then we can look over to the low over here around $90,000. And of course, that is where the lower second standard deviation is. Now, if Bitcoin were to close below this close open low and close below the lower second, that would still be downside expansion into support where this 1.168, not 1.618. This is a 168 or 16.8% above the $69,000 prior cycle high. In this case, that's coming in at 88,700. That is an area of support. If we do see that broken, then we will get continuation of expansion to go test this cluster of candles over here prior to the move up, right? And that's coming in at, around 87,400 to the low here at $85,000. Bulls want to see that hold to prevent a fall further down into, that lower $80,000 region, possibly upper $70,000 to $80,000 region. So maybe even a retest of the big consolidation breakout prior to this move up. But that's not the first thing that I'm looking for. I've mentioned that a few times now. But Bitcoin is in a range, so just understand kind of where things are currently. When looking at the daily RSI, as I mentioned, there is a hidden bull div here that is pretty much already played out. If it's going to get any kind of extension up, we do have some areas to pay attention to, and that is the edge of the bullish control zone here. That is currently coming in at 102,600. And I believe 102,600 is an area of interest, if I'm not mistaken. We've got, 102,600 just kind of right around this wick high here. So we had the common area of resistance on like a close open basis here, started to move above, and then, retest that high at around 102,500 to 600. So we do have an area of interest, at least on a wick basis, inside of our green zone that is confluent with that area. So something to pay attention to. It starts closing above the bullish control zone of RSI. That's when price is essentially inside of that green zone. Now, midline. This might be relevant for closes and even back tests or wicks down, or maybe even another lower high. If it is going to put this in, closes back below 96,388. That would put Bitcoin below. Would it be below? No, it actually wouldn't be below the Friday candle low. Of course, it's Friday for me still, but the Saturday candle is open. It would put it back below the basis band and threatening to close another lower high, and likely come down and try for, higher low, equal low structure. If it loses it, of course, it's headed down. But that is something to pay attention to. Where is the bearish control zone, as this has updated since we last spoke? Bearish control zone is going to be 88,940 43. So basically $89,000. Essentially, where would that put price on our chart? It'd be somewhere around this close open low right here, and lower, but playing in kind of the bottom half of this red zone here towards that 88,700 area. So, kind of between this close open and the actual fib level and this low right here. So this would be the primary area to pay attention to if, we are around that area. That's where we would be on the actual RSI, as well as right at the edge of the bearish control zone. Now, when it comes to looking at our stochastic momentum indicator here, this is a regular stoch. I know I say it all the time, but there are a lot of new people watching. This is not a stoch RSI. Stoch RSI measures the velocity of RSI or speed of RSI. We just looked at RSI. We don't need a velocity metric for it. In this case, this is a regular stoch, which measures close over close price momentum. And of course, it's up because we have had some closes come in higher. We've had 4 consecutive closes come in higher than they opened, thus giving us our bullish candles or our green candles. Now, the momentum pivot on the daily is going to be $92,000. That's where we would see the K cross back under the D read here, and likely be a rejection in and around the bullish control zone there to the midline. You can play kind of bullish control zone, bearish control zone, overbought and oversold on a regular stoch as well. And this is actually where I prefer to use trend lines instead of price action. Now, on a stoch RSI, I don't suggest using trend lines, but trend line regression is something to pay attention to on a regular stoch. And of course, this is just one of many confluences. We're looking for where the confluences are. $92,000 essentially is the pivot. Where's $92,000? Well, that's below the lower first here at 93,621 and headed back towards the top side of this red zone, right? So that, of course, if we close below that pivot, Bitcoin has got a big red candle down, especially in the daily here for Saturday. But it is something to pay attention to around $92,000, which is, of course, this close open right here and this high. So this is an area that has previously been resistance that has flipped into support. We're seeing a lot of bids in here, obviously on the retest, and then a couple front runs, and then a nice dip in and for liquidity there. So worth paying attention to. Let's go ahead and see where we would like to see the weekly closing. And of course, I'd mentioned I want to see the weekly close back above the upper first. Now, from a volatility standpoint, that gives us a volatility range of interest between the upper first and upper second. And that is at 94.5, essentially 94,555, in fact, to the upper second, which is coming in around 111,413. From the local fib poll that I pulled on Wednesday, there is a Fibonacci level right there at that $111,000. When you're taking it $2,000 at a time, that one above, the 106 to 108, we're looking 108 to 110, 110 to 112. That would encompass that fib and this current upper second standard deviation here on the weekly. Now, this will update regardless of where Bitcoin closes, because the basis band is pointing up. We will see some further expansion up of the upper second and upper third. You might note here that the upper third standard deviation is directly in line with our 1414 Fibonacci extension from the bear market rundown, and that is at $128,000. And of course, if we got like a beautiful weekend that pumped, what is this, upper second is 111, that basically pumped $12,000 to $13,000 up there, that'd be great. That'd look really good. That, of course, would set a higher low on the weekly here. Now, technically, there isn't necessarily a closing high set here on the weekly yet, but swing high to swing higher low, and that would be our completed trend, by the way, that we've been looking for, because we did have a swing higher low wick, but a closing lower low. Then we got the trend break, which was a higher high to higher low swing and close to higher high swing in this case. If it did another higher low, higher high swing to higher low swing, closes back above 887 or basically $100,000, this would qualify as a swing higher high without a closing higher high set, because there was no close below the wick low here at 94,220, but it did close below 97,260. So I would still consider it. For me, I'd call it good, basically, even though a lot of indicators and a lot of technicals would tell you that that's not a closing higher high. It's just a swing higher high to swing higher low and possibly a swing higher low on a close. And that's what we needed, was the second swing higher low, because we already have closing higher high, closing higher low, swing higher high, and then closing higher low. That'd be good enough for me for full trend. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin is destined to go and take out the higher high, but that is something that would be encouraging for the bulls. We're likely going to see this, move up 112. It's going to be above 112, probably like 112.5 to 113, maybe even, if it gets more aggressive to the upside here before the Sunday close, we might even see that go up to like 115. We will likely see, I should say, the upper third at about 130 to 132. Looks good right now. So basically, I just want to see Bitcoin closing above this 94,555 or upper first standard deviation. That would be a good sign for the bulls. For the RSI, of course, there is no in trend, because this current weekly uptrend that it is in, with the higher high trend break from within the accumulation range, the higher low to the current higher high swing, there is no in trend bearish divergence. And I guess it did call this a closing higher high, so that's good. So we'll just go with that. So closing higher high. So this would be complete trend from here. It's for in trend bearish divergence, it would be coming off of this most recent high at 108,388. We do have hidden bearish divergence, right? Lower highs, higher highs. And it's going to throw as regular for some indicators out there, but realistically, it's not in trend, so it is just corrective, almost like how a hidden bear div would be corrective in the bullish trend that we still have. Closes back above around 106 would turn the stoke back to the upside, so look out for that. I'm not totally confident that that's going to happen, but something to look out for coming into Sunday's close. And then, of course, we'll talk a lot more about this on Monday. I will have a Macro Monday Spaces event that will be at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to it's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think I'm just going to run in an hour. Got some good friends that are running Spaces both before and after that event, where I can just kind of give you a little preview of what I'm likely going to be talking about in terms of Bitcoin price action on Monday's Macro Monday video. But it'll give you a chance to come up and ask some questions, or maybe even throw out another ticker or two for me to give you some info on. And it'd be fun to talk to people again on a Monday morning for me, or it's late morning for me. But looking forward to that. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, as well as weekend. I'll likely be in a few Spaces events here and there. And I hope you all had a great new year, and looking forward to the year ahead, right? Yep, I am. I hope you are too. With all of that being said, Landy out. Take care.